This is Changemakers with Katie Goar, finding the right solutions for the affordable housing community.
This week's Changemaker is Joaquín Cintrón Vega, the CEO of the Denver Housing Authority and the City and County of Denver. Joaquín brings more than 20 years of experience in public housing, finance, and neighborhood development to our podcast today. Originally from Puerto Rico, he's built a career focused on practical solutions, strong partnerships, and revitalizing community. Joaquín, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you for having me here. This is an amazing opportunity. I will love to express so many things, but I will follow your lead and then to make sure that I can add as much value as possible for everybody that is going to be listening to this.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to have you. And you and I have talked on numerous occasions about all of the work that you are doing and your career. So I feel like it's a privilege to have you here with our listeners and for you to be able to share some of these best practices that you've been doing. So it's one thing to speak at a conference, but it's another thing to speak at a podcast. So we can reach a lot of people who are more than just who are in those seats at a conference, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a great opportunity again to make sure that my voice beyond those opportunities that I have had during the many conference I have attended and the one-on-one interactions, the group interactions, so we can reach a larger audience through this opportunity. So I am very humbled and excited to do this with you today. So again, thank you so much for providing me an opportunity to express my thoughts and to also sharing some of the great things that we're doing here in Denver.
Let's first start by talking about when you may have realized your calling or your journey or your destiny, whatever you describe it as. But how did you start coming into affordable housing? And why was this personally so important for you to develop your career and down this path?
Absolutely. I was called to this work by a deep belief that housing is the foundation for human dignity, opportunity, and equity. There is, in my opinion, and I feel this in this way, there is no greater purpose than reshaping systems that for too long have disregarded communities and creating new pathways for economic advancement for the people that we so proudly serve. So I see this as a lifelong mission, not a job. And today, after 24 years of service, my passion only intensifies, Katie, because every day I see the transformational power of the work I lead by implementing housing development strategies with a strong focus on economic development and rooted within a community development strategy that at DHA we are implementing through what I called our community responsive planning and development approach. I am to fundamentally shift the way our industry approaches housing development strategies by moving from transactional management to transformational leadership rooted again in equity, dignity, and innovation. My vision, Katie, is to embed community voices, economic opportunity, and design excellence at the core of every decision. That is very, very important to me. And because I believe that affordable housing can and should always be a platform for upward mobility, not a symbol of limitation. I think that the work that I am leading is truly, truly important, and this requires bold partnerships and fearless execution, challenging sometimes outdated norms to redefine what success looks like for housing authorities nationwide.
You mentioned transactional aspects of affordable housing. And for so many years, we've just been about checking the box, filling out the form, going through the process. But affordable housing, the needs have changed and people have changed. And so many times people have said, okay, yes, we're impacting lives. Yes, we're impacting that core need of security, but and safety, but how are we delivering that model? And I think what I hear you saying is that you're moving from just a transactional piece of this into transformation, I believe is what you said. Well, that changes how the business happens, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Many times, because we are working in a heavily regulated environment, right?
Mhm.
We abide to those rules, and we definitely need to follow those rules, those regulations. But we become sometimes too strict because of that.
Mhm.
That we overlook what is truly important at the end of the day. That direct contact with the people that we supposed to serve, our communities, and making sure that while we need to abide to those rules and regulations, in the end, the vision, that common vision of success, should be one that comes from the voice of the people that we're serving, and making sure how can we more than maximize our resources, we can optimize everything that we do to achieve the end goal, which is to make sure that we can provide those pathways to a better quality of life from the individual standpoint for the people and to the people that we are so proudly serving, but also on a collective way, in a
Right.
way that those communities and neighborhoods can be transformed according to the vision that the individuals that we're serving are expressing to us.
Mhm. I wanna get into some of those strategies, how you're actually doing that, because you have some great programs by which you're delivering that. But first, I wanna ask you a question, if I can get personal for a moment, because I believe you may be the first person. I'm trying to do an inventory and fact check myself here, but I believe you may be the first person that we've had on the podcast that's grown up in Puerto Rico. And so I want to ask you a few questions about that, just from this standpoint, because how you grew up and where you grew up, well, for all of us, it just influences us. And so I influences our leadership, our outlooks. And so I want to get your unique perspective here. For example, like how did living in Puerto Rico influence what you view about community or safety and stability or just any of that? And then like especially with what you're doing right now, do you have some reflections for us on that?
Thank you for that question, Katie. I truly appreciate number one, the recognition about the beautiful place from where I am coming from, but also an opportunity to recognize some of the very important things that at the very beginning helped shaping who I am today. So, growing up in Puerto Rico, I witnessed both the resilience of communities and the painful consequences of disinvestment and most importantly, inequality. That taught me that housing is deeply entangled with identity, culture, and opportunity. It also instilled in me a first commitment to justice. Uh, as you know, we have a very particular situation there in Puerto Rico. Knowing that where you are born should never determine the limits of your potential, that every single human being carries a powerful voice that shall be heard in defining goals and objectives, and most importantly, a common vision of success. I learned that in Puerto Rico very early in my career, and throughout my career in public housing and community development. I have seen firsthand the power of what I am expressing to you today, this community responsive planning and development approach in creating housing with a strong focus in economic development investments, which I truly believe is the cornerstone of everything that we should be doing moving forward, and how embedding community voices, economic opportunity, and design excellence, as I was mentioning prior, how can that help transforming lives? I've worked with families rebuilding after hurricanes, led housing recovery efforts and collaborated with communities facing generational disinvestment.
Hmm.
So from Puerto Rico to Toledo, Ohio, most recently, but in between Miami-Dade County, now here in Denver, I am carrying all of those lessons that I have learned, specifically from Puerto Rico, where, of course, many challenges that were faced at that time, but that the island continues to face right now, specifically as it relates to housing because of the impact of hurricanes and other nature impacts that we have faced most recently. And I have learned that all of these different experiences and circumstances can be applied in other places. So I think that I am coming here to Denver with a strong foundation of understanding about how, through different approaches, we can achieve the same end goal. And I feel, blessed, happy uh, to having the opportunity, although it is not in Puerto Rico, but to serve humans at the end of the day, right? That's really important to me. And as I always say, I am Puerto Rican, I am Hispanic because of that, I am Latin, I am American, but in the end, I am human, and that makes me same like everybody else. So it's an honor for me to serve.
Well, and it's so unique because you're able to take all of those experiences and take understanding to a situation that other people may not. And so you're bringing a very powerful voice to the approach, whether you're at the table, whether you're at the ribbon cutting, or whatever event you're at. You're bringing a unique strength that is, not necessarily common. And so I think it's so great to hear what you're saying you've lived, what you've seen. And there's a lot of leaders in affordable housing, and all of the perspectives are just so fascinating to many of us as we learn more about each other, learn more about what we've lived through, what we've accomplished, because so many people see us like just in the versions of where we are today, and they don't know what our life lessons have been. So I appreciate hearing that. Um, when you first started into housing, was there something that you were shocked about that you hadn't thought about, or you realized, wait, the story was this, and now I've learned this about housing when you first came into it, or maybe even today?
Absolutely. I think that, and I will go back in time, maybe when I was about maybe 19, 20 years, right? So there is this stigma to what public housing is or can be, but a very unfair judgment about the people that, for whatever reason, right, are transitioning through the programs that we are managing. And I think that, uh, getting this opportunity to start a professional career in the housing industry, specifically working with the housing authority in Puerto Rico, which is the second largest public housing authority in the nation, managing the low income public housing program. It provided to me an opportunity to first hand having that opportunity to not only getting more involved in visiting the different communities, understanding the dynamics there, the opportunities and the challenges. Right, I believe that in my case, I only see opportunities where perhaps others are seeing challenges, and maybe that is something that have helped me growing my professional career in terms of servant leadership. But I think that the most important aspect is that one-on-one level of interaction.
Mhm.
having an opportunity to listen and having an opportunity to sometimes, investing a couple of minutes or hours sometimes just to listen to individuals telling us how a day looks like for them, and how through that process of listening to those experiences we can then absorb and apply, right, and to see how through the opportunity that we have as public servants we can then reshape, reform, in that level of collaboration with those voices from the community, to provide, pathways to better outcomes that are, not for them, are built with them. And I think that the people that I have been serving throughout this many years, they truly see that, they appreciate that, and in the end, the final, and most important positive outcome is that we keep building,
Mhm.
credibility. We build on the reputation, not only from the personal standpoint but on behalf of the entity that we're representing. And those aspects are really important, sometimes overlooked, but hopefully, we can keep doing that,
Mhm.
and we have been doing that here in Denver as well.
Let's talk about Denver. What are some of the current housing challenges? The city is beautiful. The city is always fun to visit, but that means a lot of people want to be there, which is driving up demand. Even when you pull some of the Denver stats over the last 10, 15 years, it's been a pretty consistent um, uh, favorite of cities. So, what does the housing challenge look like right now as it relates to either affordability or supply? Give us some idea of what the current housing crisis is, if I can call it that, and just kind of tell us what you're up against right now.
Yeah. So here in Denver, needless to say, we have an affordability crisis. The housing supply, demand, that we have, um, some years ago was totaling close to 50,000 affordable housing units that we are lacking here, in Denver. Of course, the process of concentration of poverty, specifically on the west side of Denver, and what the cascade effect can be in terms of gentrification when things are not addressing the way they should, are some of the most important challenges here. Homelessness, of course, is one of those top priorities. Not only from our perspective as a leading entity or collaborator within our continuum of care, but also from the local, municipal administration, the city and council, and county of Denver. This is a top priority for Mayor Johnston, and we are, of course, supporting those efforts through the many programming that we have available to address the issue of homelessness, and working in collaboration not only with those additional housing providers, but supportive services providers that should be part of that conversation. So we have been leading the way in many ways, not only from the housing development strategy, in which we, of course, we get involved in too many large housing development across the city of Denver, but we are working in a way that we can keep creating and preserving housing through smaller projects that can respect the character of all of the neighborhoods that we have here locally. And specifically, I am talking about initiatives like our Accessory Dwelling Unit program. So we are not only creating more housing that, as an added value, is providing some additional ways for those individuals to getting some additional income for those households, but to do that in a way that while we create the housing opportunity, respecting the character of the different neighborhoods. We are doing that in a way that we are not disrupting the fabric of those neighborhoods. That has been something great that are giving us the opportunity to create more housing over time through local partnerships, specifically with the city and the state, providing to us from the funding perspective those resources, but working in collaboration with them to make sure that the appropriate level of legislation is in place so we can keep doing that, and of course, as we are making progress, to keep enhancing programs uh, like that. So we keep on this innovative and creative standpoint, and we are also making sure that we provide housing through alternative methods, and specifically we have a special limited partnership program. Right now we have a pipeline of about
Oh, wow.
1156 units that will come online through that program. From the larger development standpoint, we have a pipeline of close to 2,000 additional apartments coming online during the next 5 years throughout many different projects. Right now, we're working on a major redevelopment project situated at the Sun Valley neighborhood that is going to result in a total amount of investment around $500 million, delivering 7 different buildings. This year in 2025, we are delivering 514 additional apartments through that redevelopment project. So we keep doing this work, but I think that the most important aspect of what we are doing is that we believe that the most successful and lasting change, I'm sorry, happens when residents are not just consulted but are empowered as co-creators in all of this process. And this is what we have been doing, and so far we have been highly successful in doing all of this.
I'm glad you mentioned the Sun Valley redevelopment project. It seems like I'm always seeing you doing a ribbon cutting, which is amazing. And I applaud you and your team for that. And Sun Valley is really one of Denver's most ambitious redevelopment and neighborhood transformations. I've been reading about that in preparation for talking with you. And Denver really is leading the way on this particular development. What do you think the long-term residents who are central to how you're developing this? Because you just talked about incorporating them, empowering their voices, and not displacing them. So, what do you think the residents and the neighborhood like? What would you want them to describe this process when they talk about their neighborhood? How would they vision and realize what this neighborhood is going to be? Like, what do you think those words and what do you think that's gonna mean to them?
It means everything, Katie. And quite honestly, as you're mentioning, we are very active. Celebrating these grand openings. This year in 2025, I mentioned we have three of them. Two that have already happened. One upcoming later in August of 2025. And what is truly amazing is that at those events, we have families, individuals joining us that they were here back some years ago when the uh, prior development there uh, was part of the community, and all the challenges, all the level of the capital improvement backlog, the deferred maintenance, those additional aspects that were definitely affecting them, the huge level of disinvestment. And they also, they of course, they have this level of empathy to that neighborhood in the way, shape, and form it was, because they have that is what they knew, right?
Mhm.
They have been part of this process. They have been part of the dialogues. They have seen our unwavering commitment to listening, to make sure that in the end, and the end of that race is coming to fruition now. So they are seeing that the commitment that we made based on that process of listening to those voices is now a reality, and they are coming forward. They are directly having dialogues with me, with our staff, sharing excitement. They are deeply grateful, knowing that they are going to be moving now to a place that nobody else have ever touched,
Mhm.
a new place to call home. And those apartments, Katie, I have been in many places. I mean, great work at all places, uh, but the level of detail, the attention to detail, the finishes, the quality of what we are delivering to our residents, the additional amenities
Mhm.
across the neighborhood. Right now, prior, of course, Sun Valley was a food desert.
Mhm.
Now we inserted their economic development investments to provide just that access to fresh produce. Decatur Fresh. We have a grow garden food incubator available, not only to provide access to that, but also additional business activity that they can be involved with. Some of the apartments that we are delivering at Sun Valley provide a working life environment as well, so they can do just that from their own apartments, access to the whole
Nice.
neighborhood. It's amazing. And I think that, to your question, Katie, I believe that, you know uh, the residents, the people that were part of that initial community, where we had there 333 public housing apartments, and now having most of them coming back to a neighborhood that is going to be vibrant, with 965 new
Wow.
housing apartments there, in a way that people from many income levels can live. We have income restricted units, we have market rate units. I mean, it's an amazing experience. And most importantly, people that otherwise in the past will say, well, somebody's not within my radar for a living situation,
Yeah.
they are now exploring that possibility. And we are very, very proud to showcase the Sun Valley Redevelopment, not only locally, nationally. Many people from across the nation, they have come to Denver just to witness what we have done here. And
Yep.
I am very proud to have joined this amazing group of people here at DHA, and to make sure that through my leadership, all of this can come to
Yeah.
the finish line.
Yep. It's interesting when you describe Sun Valley, you're talking about affordable housing wins, you're talking about community and neighborhood development wins, but you're also speaking to economic development. And as you laid out that whole design and you laid out what's about to happen, is you guys are making such an investment that it's going to come back, that return on your investment is going to start coming back as the neighborhood really, really kickstarts. And so what you guys have done there is just and what you're continuing to do there is just amazing. I want to talk about another innovative thing that I was reading about you guys, and it's your ADU program. It's been nationally recognized and for its innovation. Can you describe what's going on there?
Absolutely, Katie. So yeah, to your point, recently we received a an award of excellence by the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials.
Congratulations. That's a big deal. That's like our industry Emmys, isn't it? Or industry Grammys, right?
Yeah, so it was a great experience, fun story. We were there. I went to the conference with a delegation of about 11 people, including me. And many other partners from other housing authorities, they were coming to the stage just to receive the recognition that they rightfully deserved at that moment in time. And it was like one representative from anybody. So when they called us, THA, I stood up and I made all my people to come with me to the stage. And what was really wonderful, which everybody, I think, looked with very good eyes. I took that award, but I handed the award to the leader in our organization. That is leading these efforts.
Yeah.
And I think that the message that I wanted to showcase there is that when we are assuming leadership and we come to join many different efforts that may or not be our own, I think that is very important to uplifting those leaders, to make sure that we create the spaces necessary for them to shine. And as part of that process, we are very proud to have received an invitation by NAHRO to present at the summer symposium that is going to take place in New York in July.
Great.
And our leader, her name is Renee Martinez Stone. She is our chief strategy and planning officer. She's going to be sharing more about the program. She's going to be sharing about the best practices, what propelled us to get into this initiative, and the positive outcomes that we have achieved over time. But this program, it came because of a calling by our community in terms of how can we create spaces to provide and keep providing housing opportunities in a way that could be faster, more efficient. Again, to the prior point I was making, respecting the character of the different neighborhoods, understanding that not only the citizens, right, of those neighborhoods, but also those individuals that are tasked with representing them. And I am talking about council members and other elected officials. It has been an initiative that is all encompassing, from the strong level of understanding and the foundation of understanding that more affordable housing was needed, and how through that process we can not only provide that very needed housing for some individuals, but how can we uplift those individuals that are currently living on those spaces, right?
Right.
Providing that ability for them to attain more income for their households. And it's been part of an initial push at the very beginning, supporting a way to ignite synergies in the west side of Denver. So the pilot program was implemented specifically within that area because of the issues that I was making reference
Right.
at the beginning. The affordability issues there, the concentration of poverty, the track to gentrification if we remained silent and with no action at all about whatever is happening or was happening. So it's a beautiful program. um I believe that we are, if not the first, we should be within the initial leaders in implementing something like this across the nation. We are very proud of that, and it takes a village.
Mhm.
Katie, it takes many hours of dialogues,
Yeah.
uh, making sure that perhaps what at the very beginning is going to be an idea that is going to be beaten up, as we keep having those conversations, then through listening, we can, enhance what that initial idea can be,
Right.
or become into something that is truly feasible and viable. Now that idea is truly feasible and viable, is in place, and is representing very important community impact in our jurisdiction.
Mhm. And there's lots of wins there. I mean, you're being able to utilize space appropriately. You're keeping costs down, making it more affordable. You are being able to provide a lot more volume than trying to find a particular tract or parcel of land. So you're maximizing several dynamics and probably putting them at where existing infrastructure is too. So it's a better use of resources all around. Good job on your team trying to navigate, though, all of those zoning issues or all of those other complexities. So, I'm glad you guys won the NAHRO award for innovation on that one. Speaking of awards, I wanted to ask you also about something really unique you guys are doing with your Wall of Fame celebration. It's something that we like to hear, and I would love to highlight it if you could talk to us about what your wall of celebration is.
Uh, Wall of Fame is the banner event that is conducted by our nonprofit affiliate Friends of DHA. I have the blessing to share the nonprofit. I am the chairman of
Okay.
the board, and supporting the amazing leadership of Annie Hancock, which she is our director of resident and community connections, and also the executive director of Friends of the HA. So uh, Wall of Fame is looking to recognize the leadership of the participants that we have through the different programming that we have within Friends of the HA. We recognize not only leadership but resiliency, right? We recognize the contributions of those individuals in the community, and also we use that opportunity to uplift that messaging about the very important work that is being done there, leveraging not only the federal grants that we are getting from the federal government, specifically FSS, Job Plus, the Ross Grant, and other, but how can we involve, uh, for example, the philanthropic community, the corporate community, to inform, to educate them not only about the need that we have, but the impact that their dollars and their contributions
Right.
can result in the people that we so proudly serve, and also at the very end of the day, right? The impact to the community in which they are now conducting business within, and having those relationships. And I think that in the end, our messaging there is one that provides a very important level of understanding that, you know, the way in which any city or jurisdiction is going to go is not defined about the great things that we do with those high dollars that are invested in
Yeah.
things that are not necessarily focusing on the human aspect,
Right.
but lifting, providing some level of investment that is significant, providing not some, providing significant investment human beings, people that otherwise will not have the means to thrive in life, positioning them there so they can come back and give back to the community itself. That is a very commendable thing that we are doing through Friends of the HA, and Wall of Fame is our platform to amplify that message.
Okay. I love that because you are actually just you're telling the stories of the solutions, but you're also like lives impacted. And I mean, it's great to have the roof over the head. I mean, that's what we all want, but it's also when you can talk about the person's life, like what did the roof over the head do for you? Like, did it allow you to say, okay, now I have the same address, my kids can stay in the same school year after year, and I don't have to hop around? What does it mean that now you can say, aha, housing is solved? I can get a job that's close to where I live because I'm going to stay here. Like there's all of these other things that start to happen with that roof over the head, and sounds like you're highlighting these and capturing these very well.
Yeah, we do, and uh, we more than try. We are very intentional. about work that we're doing. Um, we are centering everything uh, uh, around this uh, community responsive
Yeah.
planning and development approach. And
Right.
when we talk about planning and development, we're not talking necessarily about planning and developing a housing building, planning and developing lives,
Yeah. Develop
planning and
lives.
development futures.
Yep.
So yeah, we are very intentional, Katie.
So close us out here with something that is bringing you hope, something that is encouraging you and like really like what keeps you going, I guess is like the common question, but there's a lot of pressures in these jobs. There's a lot of pressure with compliance and funding and all the logistics, but what's keeping you going? You got any secrets there? Superpowers you want to share with us?
Uh, Thank you for that question, Katie. So I will say what keeps me going, what keeps me hopeful is this ability that we have to connect with people and to make sure that we can be used as this vessel to achieve better outcomes. So I think that our superpower, not only mine, our superpower, collectively speaking, is that ability, that opportunity that we have to connect, to better understand, to make sure that we can build collectively, that we can build with, not for, and to make sure that in this process, we at the end we can leave a legacy that others can build upon. There is going to always be something
Yes.
going to be left undone. But I
Yeah.
think that from my perspective, my north star is making sure that through my leadership,
Mhm.
in the way I behave, in the way I communicate, in the way that I am setting the different examples that I need to set, that I can open paths for others that are going to come after me to keep doing this very amazing work from the social
Yeah.
standpoint, to make sure that we can keep lifting lives, individuals, into the tools and resources that they need to get to the next best thing in life: independence, home ownership opportunity, uh, a job opportunity, whatever that looks like for every single individual. That's part of the work that we do. But also when talking about this very challenging environment in which we are right now, and the dealings, in terms of the overregulated, underfunded industry in which we are, how can we innovate? How can we come up with some new financing models,
Right.
partnerships that we can explore to expand affordable housing options? And we are leading, in my opinion, and hopefully, others can see this, not from my personal standpoint, but by the work that DHA is leading collectively. We are leading the charge on blended capital strategies, leveraging our capacity to issue municipal revenue bonds, maximizing private activity bonds caps, and bond recycling
Yep.
strategies, layering light tech new markets, tax credits through catalytic public-private partnerships, and we're also exploring, impact investment, land trust models to stretch dollars and deepen our impact. But on a very significant effort, I want to share and express that we are working with our local partners to unlock qualify opportunity funds that can provide additional access to capital that can be deployed within our most disinvested communities. So I believe that the future of affordable housing requires bold financial innovation, and
Right.
in my opinion, DHA is determined to be at the forefront of it.
Well, I would say that's one of your superpowers that you're visionary. But it's one thing to be visionary if you don't have the execution. And so you are really you and your team, and you've got a great team, by the way. I know several of them and have worked with several of them. So shout out to your team there. But you are taking your vision with execution, and you guys are meeting the needs for the city of Denver. So great job there. Thank you so much. It's obvious why you're on the Changemakers podcast, and I appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate this opportunity, and I will invite everybody that is listening to this or watching this through the different social networks. Uh, uh, Look me out. I mean, check on me. I am very active. I love to share my thoughts, my stories, everything that is important. Specifically on LinkedIn, look me out. Facebook, I am there. I mean, I am eager, looking to engage in very meaningful conversations to make sure that I can add value in any way that it may be necessary, but also to learn from my peers and others. So again, Katie, thank you so much for this opportunity. And anytime I am available. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Changemakers with Katie Goar. To find out more about Katie, go to quadel.com. That's QUADEL.com. This has been a production of Forbes Books Radio.